Hello everyone, warm welcome to this webinar on the topic Building the Future of Biotech, Innovation, Ethics and Opportunities in Bioprocessing. My name is Clive Nyaribo, Project Coordinator for the Vaccine Workforce Development Program. I work closely with the project co-leads, Professor George Warimwe and Marianne Mnene. Before we get started, a few housekeeping matters. Kindly take note that this webinar is being recorded. Kindly feel free to use the chat option to share your questions during the presentation and we will address them during the Q&A session. We'll have a few open slots for the attendees to directly ask questions to the presenters. If your internet is stable, you can raise your hand using the fireball icon. This is a series of planned webinars with the goal of providing information on various topics in the field of vaccinology. This being run under the KEMRI-Wellcome Trust Research Program, which is a world-known health research unit of excellence. Over the years, we have excelled in the use of novel ideas and collaborations to achieve better health for Africa, while also developing African scientific leaders. Our vision of the program is to undertake cutting-edge and novel research relevant to national, regional, and global needs. The Vaccine Workforce Development Program is funded by the Gates Foundation and aims to expand the technical know-how and capability for sustainable end-to-end vaccine R&D and manufacturing in Africa through training and knowledge exchange activities in the vaccine ecosystem through a multidisciplinary and partnership approach. Why this matters is that Africa currently relies on vaccine imports and vaccine donations for up to 99% of its routine immunization needs. The Vaccine Workforce Development Program is investing in local talent and strengthening technical expertise, thus building manufacturing capability to improve vaccine access and reduce dependence. The Vaccine Workforce Development Program has 4 core initiatives. One, we have the Vaccinology School Engagement Program, where students from local secondary schools are engaged during open days and lab tours with career talks to spark their interest in vaccinology and careers within this field. 2, we have the vaccinology webinars like this one, where area career scientists, graduate and undergraduate university students across the globe join webinars that provide information on various topics in the field of vaccinology. 3, we have Vaccinology in Africa course, which is an annual master's level course that attracts participants from across the continent for strengthening theoretical knowledge on vaccinology. 4, we have biomanufacturing apprenticeships that provide hands-on training in vaccine manufacturing facilities across the globe. Today, we are glad to have Kerisha Batohi, who will be discussing the topic Building the Future of Biotech, Innovation, Ethics, and Opportunities in Bioprocessing. Kerisha Batohi is a bioprocess development scientist specializing in plasmid DNA process development and scale-up for advanced biomanufacturing applications at Afrigen Biologics, which is based in Cape Town, South Africa. She leads the development and optimization of research scale production processes and has successfully translated small-scale shake flask systems into controlled bioreactor platforms, supporting technology transfer into manufacturing environments. Her experience spans quality control testing, production environments, and research and development. Our work focuses on building robust, scalable processes that bridge area research and production, while ensuring product quality, regulatory alignment, and operational readiness. In addition to technical leadership, she mentors scientific team members and contributes to close functional collaboration. Kerisha is passionate about responsible innovation and is actively exploring how bioprocessing platforms can enable entrepreneurship and what the real-world impact of biotechnology holds. Over to you, Kerisha.
A very warm Sawubona from Cape Town, South Africa. Thank you, Clive, for the introduction, and to KEMRI-Wellcome Trust for allowing me this opportunity to present to you all today. Right, let's get into it. Okay, so on today's agenda, I will be covering the basics on what biotechnology is, how it applies to the pharmaceutical industry, and the biotechnology economy in Africa. I will then move on to the bioprocessing as a field within the biotechnology space and deep dive into the vaccine industry, where my field of expertise lies and what drives my inner passion. Thereafter, I will talk about what the entrepreneurship and innovations that exist within the biomanufacturing space and how to succeed in this fast-changing environment. I will then move on to the ethics and responsibilities that lies within this field of expertise and what is required from us as industry employees. Lastly, I will dive into some of the challenges that this industry faces and where the current opportunities lie. So what exactly is biotechnology? At its core, biotechnology is the use of biological systems to develop products and technologies that improve human health, agriculture, and the environment. What many people don't realize is that biotechnology is not entirely new. Humans have been using biological processes for thousands of years. Early examples include fermentation, which was used to produce foods and beverages such as bread, cheese, and beer. What has changed dramatically in recent decades is the emergence of modern biotechnology. Advances in the field, such as molecular biology, genetic engineering, genomics, and computational biology, have transformed our ability to understand and manipulate biological systems. These advances has led to major breakthroughs, from life-saving medicines and vaccines to advanced diagnostics, sustainable biofuels, and genetically improved crops that enhance our food security. Today, biotechnology sits at the intersection of biology, engineering, and data science, and it continues to drive innovation across multiple industries. And importantly, behind many of these breakthroughs is something that is often less visible, but absolutely critical: bioprocessing, which is the science of turning biological discoveries into scalable, real-world products. In other words, biotechnology may begin with discovery, but its real impact happens when we can translate that discovery into products that reach people. And that is where bioprocessing becomes essential. So what is the role of biotechnology in pharmaceuticals? So biotechnology plays a critical role in the pharmaceutical industry by enabling the development of modern medicines using living systems such as bacteria and yeast and mammalian cells. These technologies actually allows us to produce complex therapeutics like monoclonal antibodies, recombinant proteins, vaccines, and gene therapies. Biotechnology also transforms drug discovery by using genomic and molecular tools to identify disease targets and develop them way more precisely. Globally, companies such as Pfizer, Merck, Johnson & Johnson, Roche, and Sanofi are leading innovations in biologics and advanced therapies. Importantly, biotechnology also presents a growing opportunity for regions like Africa, where expanding biomanufacturing capacity and scientific expertise can support both regional healthcare needs and participation in the global economy. If we think about this from a global perspective, strengthening biomanufacturing capacity in Africa is not just a regional priority, it contributes to global health resilience. So the rise of Africa's biotechnology economy is a sector within Africa that is growing so rapidly, and it's becoming an important part of the continent's economic and scientific development. The pharmaceutical and biotechnology market is expected to grow from about $73 billion in 2022 to over $138 billion by 2030. One of the key drivers of this growth is healthcare biotechnology. The COVID-19 pandemic highlighted the importance of local manufacturing and research capacity, and many countries are now investing in vaccine production, diagnostics, genomics, and precision medicine. Biotechnology is also transforming agriculture by developing drought-resistant crops, disease-resistant staples, and nutrient-enriched foods that help improve the food security across the continent. At the same time, green biotechnology is contributing to sustainability through innovations such as biofuels, bioplastics, and waste-to-energy technologies. Several countries, including South Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, and Egypt, are emerging as biotechnology hubs, supported by a very young scientific workforce and growing startup ecosystems. So whilst challenges such as funding and infrastructure remain, Africa has a significant opportunity to become a very strong competitor to the global biotechnology landscape. The real opportunity lies in building bioprocessing capacity in regions that have historically been underrepresented in global manufacturing ecosystems. So where does bioprocessing fit in the pipeline? One of the most important things to understand about biotechnology is that discovery alone is not enough to create real-world impact. The process usually begins with scientific discovery, where researchers identify new biological mechanisms, genes, or therapeutic targets through molecular biology and genetic research. These discoveries are then translated into technologies such as mRNA platforms, plasmid DNA, viral vectors, or synthetic biology systems that can be used to develop new medicines or biological solutions. However, for these innovations to reach patients or markets, they must be produced reliably and at scale. This is where bioprocess development and manufacturing becomes essential. Bioprocessing involves optimizing fermentation, cell culture, purification, and manufacturing processes to ensure that biological products can be produced safely, efficiently, and consistently. Ultimately, this entire pipeline leads to real-world impact, including vaccines, biologic therapies, and sustainable biological products that address global health and environmental challenges. This is where bioprocessing becomes strategically important, because it bridges the gap between scientific innovation and real-world solutions. And what is often overlooked in biotechnology is that discovery is only the first step. The real challenge and opportunity lies in translating those discoveries into scalable manufacturing processes. So this ties into translational development. Scientific discovery often receives the most attention, but bioprocessing is what transforms promising science into reliable and affordable products. A critical piece of this is translational development. It converts scientific concepts into manufacturable processes. It develops the necessary analytical methods and ensures that products can meet the regulatory requirements. Without strong translational capability, many promising discoveries never really reach patients. And in emerging regions, strengthening translational development while also considering market demand, policy alignment, and manufacturing feasibility is particularly important. This is a really important point. Is the product going to make sales when the demand is high, or is it not? However, it is crucial that one does their homework and goes in with their eyes wide open, because what is in demand today might not be in demand in 10 years' time when the product reaches the market. These products need to be sold. For pandemic preparedness and response, this capability is essential because response speed depends not only on scientific innovation, but also on the ability to manufacture safely and sustainably at scale. One important aspect of pandemic preparedness is the development of sustainable biomanufacturing systems. Pharmaceutical and biotechnology companies are now investing in flexible production platforms that can rapidly switch between different products, such as vaccines or biologics, depending on the emerging health threats. Sustainability in this context means more than environmental responsibility. It includes maintaining your skilled workforces, reliable supply chains, and manufacturing infrastructure that can operate consistently even during global disruptions. Companies are also increasingly incorporating environmentally sustainable practices, such as reducing water usage, energy consumption, and waste in biomanufacturing facilities. Ultimately, pandemic preparedness requires long-term investment, international collaboration, and sustainable biotechnology ecosystems that can respond quickly to future global health emergencies. The organizations that succeed understand that biotechnology development is not only about the discovery, it is about the execution across the entire product lifecycle. Successful organizations invest heavily in translational development, where discoveries are converted into robust, scalable, and regulatory compliant manufacturing processes. They integrate R&D, CMC, manufacturing, regulatory, and quality functions earlier rather than treating them as sequential steps. Equally important is the understanding the business case and the market reality. Many technologies look extremely promising scientifically, but they never reach commercialization because the business case does not make sense. The product may be too expensive to manufacture, too costly for the health system or to the consumer. It's misaligned with policy priorities or simply not something the market actually needs. Organizations that succeed think about technical feasibility, manufacturability, regulatory pathways, and the economic model from the beginning. Those that do not, they often discover way too late that while the science works, the product cannot be sustained or deployed. So entrepreneurship in biotechnology. Bioprocessing sits at the heart of biotechnology innovation. Every breakthrough therapy, whether it's a vaccine, a monoclonal antibody, or gene therapy, ultimately depends on the ability to manufacture it reliably and at the large quantities that is required to access the public. Globally, the demand for biologics and advanced therapies is growing rapidly. This has created an enormous need for expertise in fermentation, cell culture, process development, scale-up, and manufacturing operations. As I have mentioned before, one of the most important lessons from recent global health crises is that manufacturing capacity matters just as much as scientific discovery. Regions that lack local production capabilities often face delays in accessing life-saving technologies. This is where Africa has a very significant opportunity. Across the continent, we are seeing increasing investments in vaccine manufacturing, biomanufacturing infrastructure, and workforce development. Rather than replicating traditional models, Africa has the potential to build modern, agile bioprocessing ecosystems that integrate new technologies, regional partnerships, and local talent. For scientists, engineers, and entrepreneurs, this means opportunities not only lie in research, but in process innovation, technology transfer, manufacturing leadership, and biotech entrepreneurship. Bioprocessing is no longer just a technical discipline. It is becoming a strategic driver of health security, economic development, and scientific leadership, and Africa has the opportunity to help build it. Biotechnology entrepreneurship is not just about creating new companies. It's about building solutions that can transform health, sustainability, and the future of our societies. So how do we do this? Biotechnology innovation rarely happens in isolation. Successful biotech ventures are built on strong teams, strategic networks, and supportive innovation ecosystems. First, building a multidisciplinary team is essential. Biotechnology sits at the intersection of science, engineering, business, and regulation. So successful teams bring together diverse expertise from researchers and engineers to business developers and regulatory specialists. Second, networks play a critical role. Entrepreneurs and innovators benefit greatly from engaging with mentors, investors, industry leaders, and collaborators who can provide guidance, funding opportunities, and strategic partnerships. Finally, a strong biotechnology ecosystem is necessary to support innovation. This includes universities, research institutions, startups, investors, government initiatives, and industry partnerships working together to create an environment where new ideas can grow and scale. For emerging biotechnology regions, including many parts of Africa, building these ecosystems will be essential for enabling sustainable biotech innovation and entrepreneurship. Biotechnology breakthroughs are rarely the work of individuals. They are the result of strong teams, powerful networks, and thriving innovation ecosystems. So how to start and succeed as a biotech entrepreneur? Becoming a biotech entrepreneur requires, So becoming a biotech entrepreneur requires more than scientific expertise. It requires vision, resilience, and a willingness to navigate uncertainty. Firstly, successful biotech entrepreneurs are driven by a strong sense of purpose. Many innovations begin with identifying a meaningful problem in healthcare, sustainability, or biotechnology, and committing to actually solving it. Second, it is essential to validate both the problem and the market. Engaging with potential users, stakeholders, and partners earlier on helps ensure that innovations address real needs and, as mentioned before, research the market demands. So thirdly, biotechnology innovation is rarely achieved alone. Building strong teams and networks provides access to expertise, the mentors, and the collaboration opportunities. Entrepreneurs must also secure the funding and resources necessary to support the research, development, and the commercialization, often through a combination of grants, partnerships, and investment. And finally, success in biotechnology requires continuous learning and adaptation. Technologies evolve, markets change, and challenges arise, but resilience and curiosity allow innovators to navigate this very, very complex journey. So modern biotechnology has the potential to transform medicine, agriculture, and environmental sustainability, but it also raises some very important ethical considerations. One category involves extrinsic concerns, which relate to a broader societal issue such as governance, transparency, and public interest in biotechnology developments. There are also environmental considerations, particularly when genetically modified organisms or engineered biological systems may affect ecosystems or biodiversity. Another key issue is socioeconomic impact, including questions around intellectual property, affordability of biotechnology products, and equitable access to new therapies and technologies. Because biotechnology often involves complex biological systems, there is also scientific uncertainty, meaning the long-term impacts of some technologies may not always be fully understood. In medical biotechnology, patient ethics are quite critical, requiring informed consent, protection of one's personal genetic information, and ensuring patient safety in research and clinical applications. Finally, DNA manipulation. That includes genetic engineering and gene editing, which raises deeper ethical questions about the boundaries of modifying living organisms and the responsible use of these technologies. Addressing these ethical considerations is essential to ensure biotechnology develops in a responsible, equitable, and sustainable way. So these ethical principles are not just theoretical. They often appear in real scientific decisions. So we have to ask the questions: Is the technology safe for patients and the environment? Who will benefit from the innovation and who might be left out? Are patients fully informed and protected when participating in clinical research? And finally, where should we draw the line when it comes to modifying genetic material? A real-world example of ethical issues in biotechnology emerged during the COVID-19 pandemic with the development of mRNA vaccines by companies such as Moderna and Pfizer in partnership with Biotech. From a scientific perspective, these vaccines represented a major biotechnology breakthrough. They were developed and deployed at unprecedented speed using advanced molecular biology and biomanufacturing technologies. However, the rollout of these vaccines also highlighted several ethical issues in biotechnology. One of the most significant concerns was socioeconomic inequality. Many high-income countries secured large vaccine supplies early, while lower-income regions, including many countries in Africa, faced delays in this access. This raised important ethical questions about equitable distribution of biotechnology innovations, especially during global health emergencies. There were also extrinsic concerns related to intellectual property and the technology transfer. Some experts actually argued that sharing the vaccine manufacturing knowledge and technology could help increase the global production and improve access. Another issue involved scientific uncertainty. Because the vaccines were developed rapidly and deployed rapidly, there was initially limited long-term data, which contributed to public concerns and vaccine hesitancy in some populations. At the same time, ethical responsibility towards patients and public health required governments and scientists to balance speed with safety, ensuring that vaccines were rigorously tested before widespread use. This real-life example shows how biotechnology innovation can save millions of lives, but it also highlights the importance of ethical decision-making around access, transparency, and global collaboration. So what is responsible biotechnology? As a scientist working in biotechnology, I share the responsibility to ensure that the technologies that we develop are used ethically, safely, and for the benefit of society. First, we have a responsibility to maintain scientific integrity. This means conducting rigorous research, reporting results transparently, and ensuring that safety and quality are always prioritized. Second, we must consider the broader impact of our work. Biotechnology innovations, whether vaccines, gene therapies, or genetically modified crops, can influence healthcare systems, economies, and ecosystems. As scientists, we must think beyond the laboratory and consider these wider implications. We also have a responsibility to protect patients and research participants, ensuring informed consent, privacy, and ethical clinical practices. Another key responsibility is equity and accessibility. Scientific breakthroughs should ultimately benefit global populations, not just a small number of regions or communities. Finally, scientists play an important role in building public trust. Communicating biotechnology early, transparently, and responsibly helps society understand both the benefits and the risks of new technologies. This is where educating the community plays a very large role. Ultimately, responsible biotechnology requires a balance between innovation and ethical oversight. As scientists, our role is not only to advance technology, but also to ensure that these advances are applied in ways that are ethical, safe, and beneficial for society. So while Africa has enormous potential in biotechnology and vaccine manufacturing, there are still several challenges that need to be addressed to build a sustainable ecosystem. One of the biggest challenges is technology transfer barriers. Many advanced vaccine technologies are developed in Europe or North America, and transferring that knowledge, equipment, and expertise to African manufacturing facilities can be quite complex. And another challenge is the shortage of skilled workforce. Vaccine manufacturing requires highly trained scientists, engineers, and bioprocess specialists, and there is still a gap in training across the continent. There are also financial constraints and infrastructure limitations. Building GMP-compliant manufacturing facilities, maintaining high-quality laboratories, and running bioprocessing equipment requires significant capital investment. In addition, cold chain logistics remain a challenge in some regions. Vaccines must be transported and stored at controlled temperatures, which requires a reliable distribution system. We also see weaker research and development ecosystems compared to more established biotech regions, meaning fewer local innovations are translated into commercial products. Finally, regulatory fragmentation and policy instability across different countries can slow down approvals and make it so much harder to scale manufacturing across the continent. Despite these challenges, many initiatives are actively working to strengthen Africa's vaccines and manufacturing capacity, and this represents a major opportunity for growth in the biotechnology sector. And this is particularly relevant for Africa because expanding regional biomanufacturing capacity can strengthen health security while also creating new scientific and economic opportunities. So the primary causes of vaccine distribution. So even when vaccines are successfully produced or procured, distributing them across many regions in Africa presents its own set of challenges. One major factor is limited trained personnel. Effective vaccine distribution requires healthcare workers, logisticians, and technicians who are trained in vaccine storage, handling, and administration. Another challenge relates to transport infrastructure. In some areas, poor road networks and limited transport systems make it difficult to move vaccines quickly and safely to remote communities. We also see supply chain inefficiencies, which can include delays in procurement, storage, or coordination gaps between national and regional health systems. Additionally, regulatory and customs delays can slow down the importation of vaccines or critical materials that are needed for immunization programs. Beyond logistics, there are also system-level challenges. Weak health information systems can make it really difficult to track vaccine supply and monitor immunization coverage effectively. In certain regions, security concerns or conflict zones can disrupt healthcare delivery and prevent vaccines from reaching the most vulnerable populations. We must also acknowledge vaccine hesitancy, where misinformation or lack of trust can reduce the vaccine uptake, even when vaccines are actually available. Finally, the political and policy instability in some contexts can interrupt long-term planning and the sustainability of vaccination programs. Together, these factors highlight that strengthening vaccine distribution requires not only scientific innovation, but also improvements in infrastructure, governments, and the public health systems. So while Africa faces both manufacturing and distribution challenges, these also represent opportunities for innovation, collaboration, and investment in biotechnology and public health infrastructure. So here is a skills gap. One of the biggest challenges facing biotechnology is not just the technology, it's talent. As the demand for biologics, vaccines, and advanced therapy grows, the need for skilled professionals in bioprocess engineering, fermentation, downstream processing, and GMP manufacturing is increasing worldwide. Many regions are already experiencing a shortage of trained bioprocessing individuals. This creates a very unique opportunity for emerging scientific communities, particularly in Africa. As manufacturing facilities, vaccine initiatives, and biotechnology startups continue to develop across the continent, there will be a growing need for leaders who understand technology transfer, scale-up, and global collaboration. For the next generation of scientists, this means that careers in bioprocessing will not only shape the future of biotechnology, but as I mentioned before, it will play a critical role in strengthening our regional health systems and building local innovation ecosystems. The next breakthrough in biotechnology will only matter if someone knows how to produce it at scale. And that someone could be you, sitting in this forum, listening to this webinar. So what are the opportunities that currently exist? While these challenges of skilled individuals is quite significant, they also highlight clear opportunities to strengthen vaccine access across Africa. One key opportunity is expanding the local manufacturing capacity. By producing vaccines locally, countries can reduce reliance on imports and respond more quickly to public health emergencies. Another important area is improving the supply chain systems. Strengthening cold chain infrastructure, digital tracking systems, and transportation networks can significantly improve how vaccines reach the communities. There is also a very strong need for workforce development. Training our scientists, our engineers, and healthcare professionals will be essential for supporting these endeavors. And finally, partnerships and investment will play a critical role. Collaboration between governments, private companies, research institutions, and international organizations can accelerate technology transfer and build sustainable biotechnology ecosystems. Together, these strategies can help Africa not only overcome vaccine distribution challenges, but also build a stronger and more resilient biotechnology sector. So what is the advice that I have for future scientists today? For students and future scientists interested in biotechnology, there are several things that can help build a successful career in this field. First, it's important to develop a strong scientific foundation in areas such as molecular biology, genetics, microbiology, and biochemistry. These core principles form the basis of most biotechnology innovations. Second, biotechnology is a highly interdisciplinary field. Skills in areas like bioinformatics, data analysis, engineering, and regulatory science are becoming increasingly important. Another key quality is curiosity and adaptability. Biotechnology evolves very quickly, so scientists must be willing to continuously learn and adapt to new technologies and scientific discoveries. It is also incredibly valuable to gain practical experience, whether through laboratory research, internships, or industry collaborations. Hands-on experience helps translate theoretical knowledge from academic backgrounds into industry applications. Finally, collaboration is essential in biotechnology. Many breakthroughs happen through teamwork across different disciplines. So building professional networks and learning from others can be very beneficial. For those interested in this field, biotechnology offers exciting opportunities to contribute to advances in medicine, agriculture, and environmental sustainability. One thing I have learned in my career is that persistence and curiosity is just as important as technical knowledge in scientific research. So what is out there currently? So biomanufacturing requires highly specialized skills, and several training hubs around the world focus on building this expertise. Institutions such as the National Institute for Bioprocessing Research and Training in Ireland, the Biomanufacturing Training and Education Center, and the National Center for Therapeutics Manufacturing in the United States, including the WHO Global Training Hub in South Korea, provides hands-on training in areas such as biologics manufacturing, GMP, and vaccine production. Importantly, Africa is also becoming part of this global network through initiatives such as the mRNA Vaccine Technology Transfer Hub, UVO Bio, and CSIR based in South Africa. So let's try to empower our women listening today. Women play an increasingly important role in advancing science and biotechnology, but there is still work to be done to ensure equal opportunities and representation across all levels of the field. One very important step is to encourage young girls and women to pursue STEM education earlier on, helping them see science as an exciting and achievable path. Mentorship is also critical. Having role models and mentors in science can provide guidance, support, and inspiration for women entering the field. Another important aspect is creating inclusive research environments where diverse perspectives are valued. Diverse teams often drive stronger innovation and more creative solutions. We should also support leadership opportunities for women in science, ensuring that women are represented not only in the laboratories, but also in key decision-making roles within academia, industry, and policy. Ultimately, empowering women in science benefits the entire scientific community because diversity strengthens research, innovation, and global scientific progress. By supporting and empowering women and girls in science, we help ensure that the future of biotechnology reflects the full diversity of talent and ideas. This slide highlights several important initiatives that demonstrate how Africa is strengthening its biotechnology and vaccine manufacturing capacity. One major effort is led by the Africa CDC, which established the regional capability and capacity networks. These networks focus on building scientific skills, workforce training, and strengthening research and development across the continent. In South Africa, organizations such as the Biovac Institute have expanded their laboratory facilities to increase the country's vaccine manufacturing capacity. In addition, Afrigen Biologics selected as the global mRNA technology transfer hub, helping to train scientists and transfer advanced vaccine technologies to multiple countries. Other countries are also investing in biomanufacturing. In Egypt, companies such as Biogeneric Pharma provide contract manufacturing services, while the development of the Vaccines and Biotechnology City aims to create a major continental hub for vaccine production. Similarly, in Ghana, DEC Vaccines produces vaccines targeting diseases such as malaria, cholera, and typhoid fever. In Senegal, IPD has also expanded vaccine manufacturing capacity through major international partnerships and workforce training programs. All of these initiatives aligns with the African Union goal of producing 60% of Africa's vaccines locally by 2040, which presents a major step towards improving the health security and pandemic preparedness across the continent. So my conclusions today, as we look to the future, Africa has a unique opportunity to become an important contributor to the global biotechnology landscape. The continent is experiencing rapid growth in pharmaceutical and biotechnology sectors, supported by increasing investment and expanding research capacity. We are also seeing the development of local vaccine manufacturing and biomanufacturing facilities, which are essential for improving health security and reducing the dependence on imports. Another important advantage is Africa's young and growing scientific workforce, which represents a new generation of researchers, engineers, and entrepreneurs that are driving innovation. Through stronger collaborations, technology transfer, and investment in infrastructure and education, Africa has the potential to play a much larger role in the global bioeconomy. I put this statement here, and it's quite relevant. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. Thank you very much. And just some special thanks goes out to Dr. Ike James from MPP, Prof. Pietru Tablanche from Afrigen, Dr. Karen Fenner from Afrigen, the entire Afrigen Biologics team, and of course, the PDNA team at Afrigen, namely Nikita, Neliswa, Norma, Kiara, and Ashley. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kerisha. Thank you for such a wonderful presentation. Indeed, biotech has opportunities for the African scientists. I kindly request you to make your final remarks, closing remarks. So we come to the end of the presentation.
Okay. Am I ready for closing remarks?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So biotechnology has the power to transform healthcare globally. And Africa has the talent and the innovation potential to play a major role in shaping that future. As biotechnology continues to evolve, I feel building strong scientific and manufacturing ecosystems in Africa will be essential for advancing the global health innovation. The future of biotechnology will only be defined not by scientific breakthroughs, but by who has the capacity to innovate and manufacture. And Africa is steadily building that capacity. As scientists and innovators, our role is not only to develop new technologies, but also to ensure that they reach the communities that need them most. And knowing that our work could one day help make medicines more accessible and affordable is actually a really huge motivator for me. And I'll admit, I love being the first to build something new. It's that same spark of discovery that what first drew me to science in the first place and what actually still drives me today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much to everyone in this webinar. We would like to hear about your experiences and what else you would like us to discuss in upcoming forums. Before we close, kindly requesting that you take a few minutes to respond to the post-webinar survey posted in the chat. Thank you and have a nice day. Looking forward to more engagements with you. Thanks.
Thanks everyone. Bye-bye.